Good evening, welcome to Brno in the Czech Republic. Charlie Boscoe here with the star of the show, Adam Ondra, alongside me. It is the long-awaited question and answer session. It is your chance to send Adam the questions you've always wanted to be answered. Now, you can ask questions two ways. You can either go on the YouTube live stream chat, or even better, send us an email to live@adamondra.com. We might ask you a question if it's on the YouTube chat or if it's on the email, but only the questions that are sent to email will stand a chance of winning one of these fine 13 prizes. If you do send a question to the email address live@adamondra.com, please put your question in the subject line so that our very friendly email reader over there, Jakob, doesn't need to open your email. He can just see the question in the subject. So live@adamondra.com and put the question in the subject. Adam, before we get started with everyone else's questions, I haven't seen you for nearly a month in Toulouse when you qualified for the Olympics. What's it been like the last few weeks reflecting on the journey to the Olympics?
Reflecting the journey, it's been tough, or like way tougher than I expected, and especially mentally. Because for sure, maybe in Hachioji I wasn't that nervous in terms of the qualification, but the second chance in Toulouse, I really wanted to make sure that I do take my chance. And
when you say you weren't that nervous before Hachioji, you felt confident, or you just thought, well, if this doesn't work out, I've got another shot?
Hachioji was a very specific event because there was just so much going on. I've of course had like so many goals in the single disciplines as well. So at first I wasn't like worried about the combined and the Olympic qualification at all. It only got serious actually the day when it was happening, and that's when the stress hit me really hard. Because I was not kind of mentally prepared for it. Because I was mentally like much more preparing myself for, I don't know, the league finals.
Okay, we've got the questions starting to come through. First one is about diet. This is a bit of a hot topic recently with the game changers and all the documentaries on Netflix. How do you know you're not missing important nutrients and vitamins, and do you calculate them? I guess, how specific is your diet?
I think it's pretty specific. I don't calculate really anything, but more or less I know what and how much I eat, but what is really the thing.
And what is the key to a climber's diet?
I think the key to climber's diet, or anyone's diet, is to eat the real food.
When you say, what, close to nature?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. We've had a lot of questions about this, by the way, on Adam's Instagram page we saw. What is your greatest motivation to climb, and what drives you? That is from, I'm going to try this name, Bianca Velasquez. Apologies, Bianca, if that wasn't perfect pronunciation. What is your greatest motivation to climb, and what drives you?
Like, the first thing that comes to my mind, and that's something that I would be thinking like 15 years ago, like, what a stupid question, because I don't need myself to motivate to climb, because the climbing is just so perfect. It's the best thing to do in the world. The more I think about, the more like specifically I can answer.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask you actually, related to Bianca's question about when you started climbing. You came from a climbing family, but you seem to be quite different to most climbers in that you got good quite quickly. You climbed 9A when you were 13. What did you have when you were 13 that most climbers don't have now? Because most climbers, I don't think, could climb 9A, even with training and everything. What did you have then that most people never have?
I think there's lots of things, but if I have to mention one, I think it's the passion for climbing. I've been climbing all my life, but it was never even a training. Because for me, even when I went training, it was climbing. And climbing was the best thing in the world. And it is still the best thing in the world. So I think the most important was the mindset. Like, I didn't train many hours for the sake of climbing hard, but I climbed because I loved it. And it was not sacrifice. So when I was a 7-year-old kid, I just wanted to climb every single day, and my parents were more there like, maybe it's good to take one day rest. So I was kind of forced to take a rest. If it was up to me, I would just keep climbing all the time. And some people would find it ridiculous, but for me, it was fun.
What was the appeal though? What was the fun? Is it the movement? Is it getting better? Solving problems. What was it that made you
like
as a
maybe the
7-year-old
very
keep going?
first thing, like because when I was 5, I climbed a little bit because everybody around me did it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was because I particularly enjoyed it. I just did it because I would feel weird to be the only one around not climbing. Then I grew up, maybe I was 7. I went to the first competitions and I found out, ooh, I'm quite good. And this is the thing that I'm a little embarrassed. So the primary motivation to climb harder was to win more prizes. But then pretty quickly I found out that there's also rock climbing and there's just so much. But so I think I could talk on forever why I love climbing by itself, but why I really love climbing on my limit is that simply if I look at the 9B and if I look at the 8A, the 9B just looks more tempting. It looks more tempting because it's more challenging.
That's a good answer.
And in the end, the harder you climb, the more creative you have to be.
Yeah.
I don't know, if you climb 6A, you can use on the rock 50 different ways how to get up. But on a 9B, there is usually only just one, and you have to find the one.
And speaking of winning prizes, I mentioned earlier on we've got 13 prizes to give away. If you would like to stand the chance to collect one of the prizes, all of which I believe have been signed, send your question to live@adamondra.com. If your question is asked to Adam, then you will go into our prize draw, and at the end of the live stream we will be giving the prizes away. So as I said, questions to live@adamondra.com and put your question in the subject line. Another one about motivation, just staying on this theme, from Neil. How do you stay motivated after a bad session?
I think the approach, no excuses, is not always the best. Because if there is a bad session, I try to find the excuse. Which might be real, which might not be real, but the good excuse is as long as your mind really believes in that.
So it's telling yourself that there's a reason and therefore it won't happen again.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a lie and my mind doesn't really take it, but at least you try. And sometimes it's not a lie. I don't know, if it's like 40 degrees and 90% humidity, it's probably going to be much harder to climb.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
It still doesn't mean that you don't want to try to climb, but you just have to expect that the result might not be the best.
Here's a good one. Maybe your excuse is you didn't scream enough. How much does screaming help you with climbing? From Hana.
It helps in the cruxes.
You
I think what might be the most shocking for the climbers that only watch my videos is that I might not really scream as much as they think. Because in the videos, usually only the cruxes are displayed.
So,
but you really have to be thoughtful about when you're going to scream. So if you scream down low where it's easy, you only spoil your power. You only have to start screaming at a certain point when you really go on the limit.
When you scream, does it sort of shock you into trying hard? So do you react to your own scream?
That I would be like afraid myself from
no,
myself?
But when you hear yourself scream, do you think, does it set something off in you?
To give you an example, I think if the route is like easier in the lower section, I'm just trying to be really relaxed and try to climb it as easy as possible. Then I might get to rest. I'm completely relaxed, and then only in order to like turn from the relaxed mindset into the fighting mindset, I might make like one short scream that like helps me to enter this fighting mode. And then there are certain moves where I know I have to scream. And it's most importantly to know that I'm doing those moves while exhaling. And if you scream, you're pretty sure, because you're loud, that you do those moves while exhaling.
There you go, Hannah, there's a science to it. Have you seen the meme of Homer Simpson banging his head and then it cuts to you screaming?
No.
I'll find it for you. I'll find it for you when we're done. It's amazing. Adam, this is a question from JJ, getting technical. What is your favourite plastic hold? Be as specific as you like. We get
also crimps, I think.
Really?
They're
smaller
really
the better?
Amazing. No, they don't have to be necessarily amazing.
Really?
Especially like some of the old school crimps are really nice. I think pretty soon there will be like something like the old holds from 25 years ago will have a certain value.
And I saw a question earlier on today, wasn't asked live, it was actually from a friend of mine. And if you could climb at one crag for the rest of your life, where would it be?
A crag with really lots of roots.
Really? Before we were...
I wanted to say Flatanger, but Flatanger has only like 60 roots in the cave.
How many is a lot? How many, what, like Seus a lot or even more?
At the same time, it would be nice to have a crag that would have like various styles. If you consider like Frankenrad to be one crag, it's got like 10,000 roots or something like that, so that might be the one. Before
we came on air, we were having dinner in a very nice Vietnamese place, close to here. You said you like Malum. That be on the short list? Come on, give something to the Brits.
Yeah. What I really also like about the Malum, it's kind of climbing that never really gets boring, because it's like interesting enough to climb for many days in a row, because it's nothing but side pulls and underclings. Just crimping your way up when everything is horizontal, it can get pretty boring after a while.
I'll take Malum. So the answer's Malum.
Yeah?
Yeah, all right. Remember, if you're watching at home, send us your questions via email. You can ask questions in the YouTube live chat, but much better is to send an email to live@adamondra.com. Put the question in the subject line, and then our very friendly email reader does not need to open your email, and you can just see the question right in front of him. Question here about, I guess it's about competition, from Richard. Could be outdoor as well. Who is your favourite climber to watch?
I really like Giant Kim style.
The smooth.
I think she really climbs. She's the climber that might climb the most efficiently. It is slow, but it really fits her own individual strengths and weakness.
Yeah.
You can really see that as soon she's like starting speeding up, she might get more tired.
Yeah.
And she's so incredibly smooth. Yeah.
Can you try and copy that style?
It would never work with my body type.
Yeah. Well, what are your biggest strengths and weaknesses?
In lead or boulder?
Well, just as a climber.
There's lots of like specific strengths that I'm applying to avoid my weaknesses.
I see what you mean.
So for example, I don't know, I'm not so good in like taking a rest while only hanging in like sheer overhanging face.
Right.
But I'm really good in using my flexibility in order to rest in a place, maybe on not that good holds, but in the positions where the wall does like this. Which in the modern lead climbing on the World Cup means if you place your foot on the top of the volume, if there is like a chip on the top of the volume, that's a place where I might be pretty likely to take a rest.
Okay. This is from Dan, what was your scariest climbing moment?
Definitely the down wall. The first time that I was going ground up, trying partly free climbing, partly 8 climbing, some of the pitches were really, really scary. Like doing big runouts on beaks.
Okay. So, what's the fear like of that kind of fear of I might really hurt myself versus the fear of, say, failure in a competition? What's the difference in feeling?
It's similar and different at the same time. It's similar because you deal with some kind of pressure, but I kind of feel that the fear of taking a big fall is even more enjoyable.
More enjoyable?
Yeah.
In what respect?
Like,
just like the buzz of not taking a big fall.
I know the feeling of fear of falling while knowing that most probably it's gonna be all right. Okay. You know, you can face 25-meter fall that you know that they are gonna be pretty safe.
Yeah.
But still, you just can't convince your mind not to be scared.
Oh, it's terrifying. Falling off's terrifying even if you know you're going to be
But
fine.
the possible outcome can be so much fun.
Yeah.
Taking nice 25-meter fall.
Nice 25-meter falls. I love it. Speaking of which, do you have? Here's a question from Rafal. Do you have a problem trusting people who belay you? I mean, it often strikes me when I'm work at the IFSC and watching you climb. You probably meet the belayer 5 minutes before you start.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever think about the belayer, or
No.
are you just so in the zone?
I don't think about it at all.
Right.
Only in Hachioji, I was always thinking about if they are gonna short rope me or not, because that was a big issue in Hachioji. Most of the climbers were short roped in some of the clips, and that's very rare on the World Cup, but it was very often.
Just explain what you mean for people
That
short roping.
you get to a position and you need to get a lot of rope and clip above your head.
Yeah.
In that moment, the belayer has to be really fast enough to give you enough slack of rope, so I can clip in a very fast motion. And that moment, when the belayer is not fast enough, it's called short roped.
Okay, another one about competition climbing from Ondra. Bear in mind these people pay my salary, but what would you change about competition climbing? 2 things, he says. 2 things Ondra wants to know what you change. Not 1 and not 3. 2 things you would change about competition climbing.
2 things. So I would change.
I'm sure Ondra won't mind if you have 3. I'm sure Ondra will be okay. But sorry, go on.
I would add 8-minute time limit again for the lead finals.
Back from 6.
At least for the girls.
Yeah.
It would make much better show.
Yeah, we've had a few timeouts. Okay.
I think that's the most important, and I would bring back the 4 minutes plus in bouldering.
I don't agree. Really, honestly, this was a big debate in
It's more about the boulders themselves. The boulders, the setters, just cannot set a boulder where there is a no hand rest. In that case, the 4 minutes plus doesn't work.
Yeah,
But I don't see a point where they should set a boulder with a no hand rest.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
But I feel, sorry to digress for everyone at home, but as the person who goes to every World Cup and watches every boulder of every World Cup, it feels like I have less dead time to fill now than I did when we had 4+, because I felt like a lot of climbers would, with a minute to go, you knew they weren't going to do anything until there was 1 second left.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's disappeared a bit. So I think for the show,
Which is nice for the competitors.
it's nice for the content. We can go home earlier. Yeah. But I feel like there's less dead time. So I think the show is a bit better with 4, although 4+ did give you amazing moments. Like, was it Ray Sugimoto about 5 years ago? And do you remember when he was up there forever? It went viral on YouTube. He was up there, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. So we lose that, but it feels to me like we have a little more non-stop action. I digress. Question from Christian. Do you have any other passions besides climbing?
Not so much, honestly. Climbing takes just too much time for me to have other passions. That's for sure.
I think for someone as dedicated as you, there just isn't space for much else, is there?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I miss too much. For sure, you can't really think 24/7. And I don't think I'm that kind of person. And I know some climbers that only think climbing 24/7, and it's dangerous.
Do you think you are a better climber long term if you take periods off mentally?
Both mentally and physically, for sure.
How long would a period off be for you? How long would you go without
3 weeks.
doing? Really?
4 weeks. 4 weeks is possible mentally. More now.
Right. More than it used to be.
I'm like usually taking my annual break for 3 weeks.
And that means no climbing?
No climbing at all.
No exercise?
No exercise for the first 2 weeks.
Okay. Right, it's quite a long break.
Yeah.
Next question from Nico. Where's he gone? What is your favourite type of route? Length, style and holds?
If I have to pick one, then it's route outdoors, which is slightly overhanging and 20 meters in the height.
Just because that plays to your strengths? Like 20 metres is
Not necessarily. It more depends on the type of the route. I think what fits my strength the most is like Boulder Brown to good rest, ideally the knee bar, into a Boulder Brown, into a knee bar, and goes on. But I think the 20 meters, if it's like intense from the ground to the top, is like the most fun style.
Okay, questions are coming in thick and fast. Remember, if you do want your question answered by Adam in the next only 40 minutes left, send an email to live@adamondra.com, put your question in the subject line, and as well as potentially having your question asked, you also have the chance to win one of 13 prizes. We've got the Adam Ondra book, Black Diamond backpack, Best Boulders climbing card game, Black Diamond chalk bag ×4, Montura t-shirts, La Sportiva hat, Black Diamond t-shirt, Black Diamond lanterns, and Black Diamond flashlights. And you've signed everything? Most things. We'll get a signature on everything. Sorry?
Those that made sense.
Yeah, all right.
I think the lantern was not really possible.
No, you can't really sign a lantern. We'll get a picture of you holding everything if you haven't signed it. Another question from the Mini Cuba. I think I've said that right. What is the biggest? What or who is the biggest inspiration in your life?
I think all the people that really do exactly what they wanted and not what they feel they are supposed to do. Which I feel like most of the climbers do that.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's a nice answer.
I like to be surrounded by these people.
That's a really nice answer. Good question from the Mini Cuba. Question from Leo. What do you think about free soloing?
I totally respect the people that do it. I even understand the reasons. For me, it's just too much risk. But I respect that somebody is willing to take the risk.
Yeah. Do you see what people get out of free soloing? Because I think some people just go, "Oh, it doesn't appeal." Does it kind of appeal to you, but you just choose not to do it?
Like the mental experience of being up there in the middle of El Cap without anything is definitely tempting, but it's not worth the risk for me.
Could you ever conceive it being worth the risk, or is it just not something that has any appeal?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think the same, maybe just get like a 1,000-meter auto belay on El Cap. That would feel almost as nice as actually free soloing that.
Oh, how long's the tape on the ones they use for speed climbing? You reckon you could get all the way down? Down El Cap?
I think we were...
It's 1,000 meters in those things?
It's very easy to count, but I don't really remember the time. But if you take the same pace of climbing the world record on speed and you climb with the same pace the nose, it only takes like a few minutes.
It's a challenge for you. If you speed climbing, if you feel after a few years, you know what, speed climbing's great. This is my new passion. Could be a project. Question from Julian. Can you give us the recipe for your porridge? Do you like you a porridge eater?
Yeah.
I can't stand it. I feel sick now thinking about porridge.
So right, porridge can be sweet or even salty.
Yeah, but even so, it's the.
But the porridge that most people like the most is you cook porridge, you cook oats, batter in some rice milk. Could be lots of cinnamon that keeps you warm in the winter.
Yeah,
and any kind of fruits, nuts, or dried fruits, and you just blend it together.
So rice milk, cinnamon.
And the good thing is that there is no recipe. There is no like the best recipe, because every day you can just put different things into it.
Julian, if you want my advice, just eat something else. Question from Vincent, and I was going to ask you about this actually. I was thinking about this on the way over here. Have you ever thought about quitting climbing?
Never.
Never.
Absolutely.
As you age, your level will decrease. No one stays as an elite athlete forever. Do you think, this is my question by the way now, not Vincent's, but do you think that you'll still maintain the motivation when you feel that you're not getting better, even when you're not maintaining? Do you think you'll still enjoy it?
The motivation for climbing, for sure. I can imagine climbing less than I do, but I can't really imagine my life without climbing.
Yeah.
At least as like my health will let me climb.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't.
And it doesn't really depend on the level.
So if you can just climb fun routes that are in the 7s,
Yeah,
you'll just have fun.
I'm pretty sure about it.
That's nice to hear.
At the same time, it's really hard seeing some of the retired climbers that can really just cut themselves off from climbing 100%.
Well, a few people do it. Hey, they just
for
stop.
me pretty hard to understand.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not going anywhere for a while.
I don't think so.
Question from Tomás. What was the worst injury you had, and how did you manage it? I guess mentally, physically, recovery. What was the process to come back from the worst injury you've had?
It was last year. I had a big fall, and
Is this when you hurt your knee?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you took a ground fall. Is that right?
Yeah. So I knew it was going to be right, but I knew I had to be patient. But the good news that I could still exercise, and after a couple of weeks, I actually could see the positive light of it. That at least I could campus and I could get potentially stronger than before, and that helped me mentally a lot for sure. But I'm definitely not kind of person that would like deal with such a severe negative news quite well.
Really?
I'm more like kind of lucky that never really happened to me. Because this kind of injuries, I said, it really had the big advantage that I could still campus.
Yeah.
And it was still somehow climbing.
If you really seriously injured, I don't know, your elbow, your shoulder, and you couldn't climb on any meaningful level, do you think you would struggle with that mentally?
For sure, if it was like question of months, it would be really hard. Yeah.
Okay. Question from Florian. What is your favorite climbing crag in Austria?
If I have to say one, it's like Rafal.
Really?
I think it's completely underrated.
Okay.
And it's got some really incredible routes in like the top level quality worldwide.
There you go. Question from Marilyn. I think I know the answer to this one is, how did you become so flexible? Just stretched a lot?
I think it's genetics.
Yeah.
I think it's also that I did gymnastics between age of 5 till 11. That helped a lot.
I've heard people say, physios and coaches who've worked with you, that you have an unusual flexibility in joints and things. Is that right?
In some joints, maybe. But I think the most important flexibility for climbing is anyway one, and that's in the hips.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's your
like, for
focus.
example, ability to make a split is like you use it in one of 1,000 routes. But make flexibility of hip, you use it in every single route.
So what?
Maybe except for like, I don't know, off the wagon Boulder problem.
Yeah, but what would you suggest to people for a stretching regime?
Because there is one thing of being stretched, but also what is even more important is to be mobile, is to be, when you're up there, to just bring your foot up high enough to get there yourself. So stretching is one, but also maybe coming up with a boulder problems on a spray wall that really tests this skill. Do
you think flexibility is one of the things that most climbers are lacking? Is it a weakness for most climbers?
It's definitely underrated skills for most of the climbers. And I don't think it's even that difficult to train, and it's got like the real outcome. Yeah, you really see the benefit. But somehow people usually just prefer to train and get stronger. Yeah, that's true actually. For sure, I would agree with the statement, like, it's better to be stronger than weaker, yet at the same time there's just so many more factors in climbing that like makes you climb harder. Yeah, agreed. Question from Adéla. How do you plan to celebrate Christmas? Just staying at home and like typical family time.
What's the traditional food in Czech Republic at Christmas?
It's a carp with potato salad.
A carp, like the fish?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they weren't good to eat, carp.
I agree that they are not amazing, but that's
true?
what we do in Czech.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay, with roast potatoes and...
With like potato salad. With like, typically it's with like mayonnaise and some vegetables. You can make some lighter version.
So will you be having the carp?
The carp, yeah.
You don't follow a vegan diet or anything, do you? Or vegetarian, semi?
For sure, I eat a lot of proteins also from the vegetarian sources.
Yeah.
But I do eat meat. But I really take care of the quality.
Yeah. Okay. Question from Emily. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? It's got to be anti-gravity, hasn't it?
No, for sure I would hate myself if I was able to fly. Because then the climbing would stop being fun.
You could just fly past the crux and then just carry on. Yeah, go on, what would it be then? Invisible?
Oh,
certainly when you go to a climbing wall.
Yeah, being invisible on a climbing wall, on like a busy day climbing wall, especially outside of Brno, that's tough.
Do you get recognised a bit less in Brno, or do people leave you alone a bit more in Brno?
Like, typically in the climbing gym in Brno, people know me better, so they don't want a signature or selfie anymore, because they already have one. If I get even to Prague, it's much worse. And like, sometimes find it really ridiculous that if I try one route, half of the gym just stops climbing.
To watch you?
Watch.
Yeah, okay.
Did they go to gym to climb or to watch?
Yeah, but if you were in the gym in Brno and Tomás came in, you'd definitely watch him, wouldn't you? Little bit. Come on. Question from Julia. By the way, if you are just tuning in, don't forget live@adamondra.com is the email address to send your questions to. Put the question in the subject line so that we can read it very quickly. And if we do pick your question, you will enter the draw to win one of these 13 prizes from Black Diamond, Montura, Best Boulders, La Sportiva, all Adam's sponsors. And if he hasn't signed the item you win, we will get a picture of him holding it. So it's either been signed or been selfied with Adam after just talking about how he didn't want to have any more selfies. What is your favourite album or artist, music-wise?
It's a hard question because for me, music is maybe not that important. I'm mostly listening to something when I'm in the car, and most often it's either radio or some podcasts.
Do you listen to anything when you're training?
Depends. I would say like 60-70% not, and I prefer not to be more focused.
Really? So if you're doing a fingerboard session, you just have silence? It's just you?
Like fingerboards I don't do so much, but for example campusing, I never really put on the music.
Really? Just silence?
There are, for sure, bouldering for example, I prefer climbing with somebody. And maybe there is even better that there is music on. But campus board, I'm the most used to like campusing alone.
Really?
And silent. I feel like I can focus better.
Is your form better? Do you feel like you actually your movement is better if you're just focusing on it?
Movement is better, I think so. Because, you make your exercise, you take your time, focus on the next one, like you visualize before. Maybe if the music is too good, you just focus on the music.
Okay, if you were to have some music on, what would it be?
I don't know, like today I was driving and there was a radio on and the Cranberries was playing and I was like particularly impressed how much I enjoyed it. So
which song? Zombie?
Zombie, it was on.
It's great, I love that song.
Exactly.
Question about Paxi, your coach. Maybe when I've asked you the question, you could introduce Paxi for people who don't know him, but it's from Clement or Clement, apologies if you're French, Clement. How did Paxi, as your coach, change your style of training?
So I think there was much more periodization of the training involved, and that helped me to kind of peak for the certain competitions that I needed. I think I was really struggling before when I was training alone to maybe overtrain myself right before the competitions and not really understanding like what's going on. Why do I feel tired all of a sudden when 2 weeks ago I felt so fit?
What
I think back then, before I started training with Pachi, I thought like, it's never gonna work because I rather just train according to my feelings and stuff, but it just turned out that the two know better than one.
Yeah.
When you like create a training program, if there is Pachi that also looks at it, or if Pachi creates it and I look at it and then maybe we talk, it's just much more likely that the result will be better.
Did you study physiology and sports science yourself when you were just training yourself, or did you just go off what worked?
It was all about practice and trial and error.
Okay. And how is your training periodized? Do you have a month of power endurance, a month of endurance? How does it work? How's it split up?
Maybe for sure there's like what we call accumulation with Pachi, and then transformation, and then the last few weeks before competitions when it's all about the quality. But still so the accumulation would be more kind of endurance, the transformation would be more kind of power, but still I think you can't really train 1 month of power if your focus is on lead climbing.
Yeah.
Because at that point you would A, lose all the endurance, and B, and that is most important, you would just forget how to lead climb.
Yeah, okay. True.
And that is a fact that is totally underrated.
Yeah.
People do forget that the most important for climbing is actually climbing.
Yeah.
What I want to say that I think for sure people are trying to think what else besides climbing they could do for training.
Yeah.
But maybe all these extra exercises, they are great, but you can't waste too much time and energy by doing them. And if you end up climbing only 20% of your training, that's actually very bad.
Yeah, true.
Still, I believe that 80% of your training should be climbing, and then the 20 might be something else.
And how much is the training kind of quantified? Do you go into the gym knowing you're going to do a specific number of boulders of this difficulty and then that and then that?
It depends on, for example, I know I go on a campus board and I know which kind of exercises with how many rests and stuff like this. If I go on bouldering, no. I go on bouldering and I know roughly I will be bouldering 2 hours.
Okay.
Because in bouldering, I think the creativity and the being spontaneous is the key because you don't only go bouldering to get stronger, you also go bouldering because you want to learn something new.
Yeah.
Even for me, after 20 years of climbing, I know that in every training session I can learn something new in terms of technique as well. Yeah. And that's why I think if you go climbing, you should not only focus that you want to get stronger in the climbing gym, but even in the climbing gym you can learn something new.
Good question, and good answer, of course. Who do you think will be the first to repeat silence?
From Elliot.
From Elliot, yeah.
I might know him.
Sorry?
I might know who he is.
My friend Steve texted me this as well, actually. So it's the second person to ask that.
I have no idea. For sure, people already have the level to climb 9C.
Yeah.
If particularly silence, because I think it's a very specific route. And that's also the reasons why I was, let's say, brave enough to give it 9C.
Right.
Because I thought it's very particular and it particularly like fits my style and my strengths.
I won't ask you for a name. Were you good in school? That comes from Zara.
Yeah.
Did you go to university, right?
Yeah, I did 3 years of university and got a bachelor degree.
Yeah. So you were pretty good in school. You weren't kind of looking outside and dreamy about climbing.
Let's say I was attending school. I was doing everything that was necessary, but then there was climbing. But so even when I was at high school, I was missing a lot of school. But when I got back home from a trip. I went to school, did everything that was necessary, and I was quite focused.
Did you get in trouble much at school, or were you well behaved?
Not really.
Good. Glad to hear it. Have you ever tried Le Blonde project from Marco?
Not yet.
Is it on the list?
Let's see, maybe.
Question from Alex. Are you a dog person or a cat person? Do you have either?
More of a cat person.
Any particular reason?
My mom says that when I was like 2 or 3 years old, like some dog tried to attack me, and that's after that I got scared of dogs. I'm not like panically scared. I just don't like them so much.
Fair enough. One of my questions as well, actually, I was hoping I'd get a chance to ask you, and it goes back to you being young, and we talked about a little bit earlier about how you were good early. How do you think being in the spotlight for so long has affected your climbing? Because you must have been famous or known when you were 14, 15? No, probably younger. How do you think that's affected your climbing down the years?
I think maybe the pressure is affecting my climbing. So maybe the most pressure that I was feeling was maybe when I was 14 and I was like entering the youth European Cup and youth World Championships, and that was like the time I knew I was supposed to win. And that was really hard to deal with that. Actually, when I entered the adult category, it turned much easier because all of a sudden I did not really feel the pressure. But the fame itself, the fact that everybody recognizes me in the gym itself, I don't think it really affected me that much.
You've never felt under pressure to do something because people are expecting something from you?
I always say that the most pressure that I always feel is that comes from myself.
Yeah.
I don't know, when I was trying to do silence, for sure I felt the pressure, but it was because I really set it as a goal and I wanted really badly to get it done.
Another question from me, actually. We've gone from the very start of your career to a bit later in your career. Where do you think your future lies in climbing? Because it feels like you've done everything. You've had World Championships, big walls, sport climbing at the highest level. If we were sitting here in 2029, what do you think Adam Ondra would be climbing?
I'll be still sport climbing a lot.
You think?
For sure I would like to go more into the bigger walls, but I'm not really sure how big I want to go. For sure, like climbing like Yosemite, where it's mostly just rock climbing, for sure that's something that interests me a lot. If like climbing 6,000 peak interests me or not, I might have to try something smaller to really find out if I enjoy this kind of adventure.
But you're open to
absolutely
anything?
Yeah. But sport climbing is still something that I will never really get rid of. It's just too beautiful.
Yeah, that's your point. Question from Pavel. Do you think this is one of the Pavels who is on your team, maybe? What is your goal for speed climbing?
I think there are too many Pavels in Czech Republic. Already too many Pavels in our team.
Yeah, I know.
It's like 3.
I don't know what to call them on my phone. Could you get under 7 seconds for speed climbing?
I hope so, yeah.
Do you have a specific, you don't have to tell me, but do you have a specific time in mind?
Like, to run under 7 for the Olympics would be nice. If I can go even below that, I don't know. I need to get some work done, and because I've been training speed only by climbing itself so far. Now I'm adding some extra training on the top of that, so I'm excited to see how much I can improve. And actually right now this is the first and only period of my life when I'm exclusively like focusing on the speed.
Yeah, tell me about that. You're training just speed climbing right now?
Yeah, for some
more
time.
or less. Yeah. How long you've been doing that, and how long you?
Oh, it's only my second day.
A second day. Not that long. Okay. How long
The
are you gonna keep going
perspective
for?
that for a while I'm not actually going to climb for real, like lead or boulder. I'm not thinking about it yet. But the first 2 days were actually pretty nice.
Who have you been training with?
I'm training with now Richard Kaibulin. He made the Olympics by qualifying in Hachioji, and he's been living actually in Czech Republic for the last 4 years, studying in Prague. Now he moved to Brno, so we are going to train together, which especially for speed I'm super excited, because training only speed by myself, that would be tough, but training in two, it's so much better. Actually, the interesting fact that Richard is considered to be speed climber, like speed climber specialist, but he doesn't particularly enjoy speed either.
But he's good at it.
He's really good.
He's really good. Nice problems I have.
But he does enjoy lead climbing or bouldering, but he's really good. He's pretty strong in bouldering and lead,
Yeah, he was.
sure,
I remember in Hachioji, he was pretty good. With the speed training, where are the big gains to be made for you? Where are you lacking now?
I think at the moment I have the route more or less dialed, but in order to like make a big speed gains, I just need to get stronger. It might not really seem, but the speed climbers are really strong.
When you say strong, you mean upper body, lower body,
Both.
everything?
But I think the faster gains will be felt by gaining more upper body strength. For sure I'm lacking a lot in the legs, but I'm not really using my legs in speed climbing. Because my legs are weak or not really explosive, but because I'm not really able to use them properly.
Okay.
Because too many stereotypes from lead climbing and boulder. All these stereotypes are actually bad in speed climbing.
Question from Augustus. Who is the best climber in your family apart from you?
My girlfriend Eva, and then a husband of my sister.
Really? Do we know him? Is he a known climber or?
He's done some 8Cs.
Oh, so he's good.
My sister AD plus.
Okay. Feel slightly inferior now. You have to climb something with an 8 in front of it to come to Christmas dinner, right? Yeah. And speaking of Eva, actually, we had a question. We see her a lot on Road to Tokyo. How important is she in your preparation for the Olympics and your climbing life?
Eva?
Yeah.
A lot, because for sure mentally the preparation and all the competitions are tough, and it's always very important to have a person that you can anytime talk about it, and that at the same time knows you.
Yeah. Do you?
Because if she tells me something, I believe her, because I think she knows me better than I do myself.
Yeah. Okay. Do you?
Which is quite normal for women.
Yeah. No comment. Do you try and avoid talking about climbing at home, or is that just not possible? It's just, do you try and avoid talking about climbing at home or when you're outside the water? Is it just not possible because it's just too big
it's
a
not
part?
possible.
Yeah.
And I think it's also nice to talk about climbing. Not all the time, for sure.
Yeah.
But
what do you do to unwind? Do you cook? Are you a Netflixer?
I cook a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your speciality?
Ooh, I don't cook according to the recipes.
Oh, really?
I cook according to what's available in the fridge.
Carp and potato
Carp is not
salad.
my favorite, but
we're getting towards the end. I've just noticed the time. Remember, if you do want your questions answered by Adam, you've got less than 10 minutes before we start the prize draw. Emails live@adamondra.com. Put the question in the subject line so we can read it very quickly. live@adamondra.com if you would like your questions answered. We've got a question here from Steph. Is this an in-joke or is this something I'm not aware of? It says socks, no socks, question mark?
of course, socks in climbing shoes, never, ever.
I thought there might be some in-joke, like you and Steph know each other.
No.
Okay.
But I was wondering, what's the hardest route that was climbed in socks, wearing climbing shoes?
That's a good question, actually. This could be a new record for you. Send it to
Climbing in socks in climbing shoes just feels terrible. It's the worst thing in the world.
Have you never tried it on a big wall or something when you got?
No.
Never?
Never.
Really? Oh man, you should try it.
It's terrible.
No, don't. As long as you don't want to climb at your limit, it's actually quite nice. You're not convinced, are you?
No.
Okay, right, we'll move on. You definitely know more about this question than me. Question from a friend of mine who texted me. Who inspires you outside of climbing?
Persons that not only specializes in one field, but then can know so much about different subjects and can really bring it in together. And I really like reading, for example, books by such a people like, I don't know, Jared Diamond.
What's your favourite genre of books? You're quite a big reader, aren't you?
And I do read a lot, it's like books like from Jared Diamond, which are, it's not a story, but it's a story of, you get to learn something, you get to think, and I think the world today has a problem that certain, like all of us, we are just too specialized in one thing. And we think that everything is on the internet, but we can't really connect it all together. And I think that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that there are people like this that knows almost everything. Maybe not so much in like that specific subject. But
So you like to read things where you're learning?
yeah.
You
Sometimes.
Yeah. You read much fiction?
Maybe less than like educational stuff.
Yeah, okay. You read in English or Czech normally?
Both, or
really?
Spanish or Italian.
Oh, really? Okay. One more question from me, actually. I look back on your career, we've talked about it already today, lots of different genres, lots of different experiences. If I said your memory is going to be wiped and tomorrow you can't remember anything, what would be I was going to say one memory, what would be, say, 3 memories that would be the most precious that you would keep from your climbing career?
I would say the ones that are the most emotional. And it's really hard to say, but still the most emotional is silence. Then maybe would be climbing the nose with my dad. And could be, I don't know, some of like the scary and nice routes on the Czech sandstone.
Nice. No competitions in there? Do they not quite have the same depth almost?
No.
Right.
I'm pretty sure about it that no.
And what was the emotion after silence? What was it like, say, in the sort of minutes, hours, days after that journey?
I think it changed completely my emotions for the next days or weeks.
Okay.
Which I can't really say it about the competitions.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's the fact.
Is it because the journey for silence was just much longer? I mean, I know you trained.
Then there's lots of anticipation and lots of ups and downs. Competition is maybe like pretty direct, you know?
Yeah.
You just train for that, you know that the competition comes now.
Yeah.
But when you're working on a hard route, you never know if it's going to be tomorrow or if it's going to be in 2 years.
Yeah.
Let's say like the season before silence, I knew it's going to happen. But I had no idea if it's going to be that season or in 5 years.
Would you have kept going until you did it?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Maybe not like full time on. Maybe maybe one season I would say myself, it's enough. Okay, one season break, but then again.
Because you look at, say, Tommy on the dorm wall. I know Kevin joined him, but for Tommy it was years and years and years. Do you feel like you would have?
I think so.
You would have kept going.
And I can imagine picking up a new project, which could be like the new silence.
Is there a project you've got in mind now?
Too many, but I think the ones that I have now and that are really inspiring, hopefully are not going to take me as long as silence.
Yeah, you only get so long, you know. I think we can probably get started with our prize draw quite shortly. I'm just looking across. Are we close to having our prize draw ready?
Just close the questions.
Couple more minutes. Okay.
We will be ready in 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, we've been told we've got 5 minutes. Little question from me actually about the competition scene. Have you seen anyone in the juniors who you think could have the impact on climbing that you had on it?
I think now that sticks in my mind is Oriana.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see her in Arco?
Not personally.
No, but
I saw some short clips and I saw her climbing in Innsbruck.
What is it about her that separates her from the competition, or not the competition, but from what makes her stand out?
I think she climbs really well. She's not always strong, but she climbs really well.
You mean technically, or?
Technically, yeah.
What do you think of her mentality? Did you have much of a chance to talk to her?
Unfortunately not, but
Okay.
yeah, can't really comment on that. But even the mind it's trainable. But I really think that she does enjoy climbing.
Okay.
But I think also the fact that she climbs technically so well
Yeah.
also has to inevitably mean that she does enjoy climbing.
Yes. Okay.
That's an idea that without actually really loving climbing, you never really reach the technical perfection.
Yeah. Well, how
Because if you don't really love climbing, but you love like climbing hard routes or winning competitions, then you always focus more on the physical factor.
So you think the passion has to come first?
I think so. It's much more likely that it's going to bring the good results.
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible to be the world's best athlete without actually loving what you do, but it's so much harder and so much more unlikely.
In fact, before I ask this question, because it's ridiculous, what is your mental training? Are you meditation, mindfulness? What would you describe your mental training as?
I think mental training is a lot of the things. It's could be even meditation, and yes, I do a little bit. But mental training is even when you go training, when I go bouldering, mental training is really that on every single try and every single boulder, I want to give it everything that I have. And it's not like training. I even try to pressure myself that now this is the attempt that really counts, because that is really what is making the difference on the competition. Sometimes like people perform so well on the training, but on the competitions they crack under pressure.
Yeah.
The way is to climb under certain pressure even in training.
Yeah, because do you get a lot of nerves competing?
Mostly in lead it's much easier to deal with it for me.
Why is
In
that?
bouldering it's harder because it's more rounds and more tries. In lead it's pretty much like comes down to the starting of the route and escaping the pressure that you feel into the zone.
Yeah.
And if you succeed in doing that and it's a matter of 2 seconds, then it's fine. Then you're not going to step out of the zone anymore.
Do you feel the presence of the crowd more when you're bouldering, because you come
It's
down
more
off the mat and you
interaction,
look, yeah.
but I think the crowd itself doesn't really play that important role. It's more like if you fell on the first boulder, it's much harder to compose yourself on the second one.
Really?
Especially if you know that everybody else topped on the first one.
So okay, so it's hard to forget what happened before.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's
Is there anything you can do to combat that?
try to visualize it as well and try to work that in training. So I think this, let's call it a practical mental training.
Yeah.
Is maybe that is something underrated.
Yeah. Practical mental. Yeah, I see that. Completely ridiculous question, but hey, it's fun. If you could reincarnate yourself, like come back in a second life as an animal, what would it be?
A squirrel.
That was quick. Really?
A squirrel has amazing climbing style. I would love to see that. I would love to climb that elegantly.
Yeah, okay. So squirrel, that was a question was from...
For example, I don't really
Martin.
like how monkeys are climbing.
Oh, why not?
It's some of them are more fluid, but they don't really quite.
Oh, this I can't believe
Fit
you're
the
judging the climbing style of the different animals. But you don't like the monkeys.
Some of them are just too.
They're like gym rats. Mm-hmm. Okay. So squirrel, there
But
you go.
squirrels,
Martin.
they when they climb, it looks like they use zero energy.
It's all in the legs.
I don't know, maybe in the tail.
Okay, I thought you were going to say like a great white shark or some really savage animal, but not a squirrel. We're just a couple of minutes away, by the way, from our prize draw. 13 prizes to be either signed or selfied by Adam to give out in just
I
a
don't
second.
like to be a savage person, so I don't want to be savage animal.
No, it was the fact that you just went squirrel like that. Oh, okay. Judge, and I don't like the way monkeys climb. That's just made my night. That's fantastic.
I think squirrels climb harder.
Yeah, they've got a.
Jerry Moffat was saying that they made a monkey climb 7B plus on-site free solo in Thailand. They put a banana on the top of the 7B plus.
Yeah, but I reckon a squirrel could climb 9C.
Yeah, exactly. I think harder.
You reckon? 10A. Yeah. Does it count if you don't clip?
Of course. Oh, you have to count the anchor. You have to clip.
Yeah,
the
that's
anchor.
true. Yeah, IFSC rules. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope your question was answered, and we have the chalk bag. Is this one of the prizes, the chalk bag?
I think so.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. So 13 prizes to be given away.
Can you read the question? Unzipping the number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are going to pick these out. The pieces of paper are numbered and they correspond to a question on here. So the first prize is the black diamond flashlight, the blue one. Adam, can you just model it, please? Perfect. You're wasted
That's
on
the
climbing.
only prize that wasn't signed.
Yeah, we'll get a picture of you holding it,
Yeah.
or maybe you can fit the world's smallest signature. That is for number 16.
16 question is. Oh,
These are questions we've had asked already. This was Emily's question.
yeah. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? From Emily.
We said it was invisibility, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So.
Charlie, can you write number 16 onto this?
Yes, I can. Sorry. Got to take care of the admin. 16. Okay, Emily, the black diamond flashlight is coming your way. Next one, this is for the black diamond lantern. We've got 2 of these to give away. Adam?
I think this is signed even.
Is it? Where did you fit a signature? You probably don't want that sign because when they turn it on, it'll put your signature on the wall
Well, maybe it's
when the
from
light turns
inside.
on. We'll sign the box. That is question 19.
What do you think will be the first to repeat silence? From Elliot.
Yes. I didn't ask you for a name. I probably should have done. So another flashlight. Another lantern. Yeah, sorry, I'm not keeping up. There you go. 19. This is for the second lantern, number 13.
What's your favorite climbing crag in Austria?
And it was...
Schleier.
Yes, well remembered. Next up, La Sportiva hat. Not been signed. Will be signed.
Will be signed.
Will be signed in just a second. Number 25.
If you could reincarnate in an animal, which one would it be? From Martin.
Probably my highlight, actually. When I saw it, I was like, that's a strange question. It turned out to be brilliant. Next one, black diamond t-shirt.
So, yeah.
Where's the black diamond t-shirt? Here we go. We've got lots of different sizes. This one is a men's small, but we will find the correct size for you and get it signed. So the black diamond t-shirt goes to number 23.
which is, what is your goal for speed climbing? Could you get under 7 seconds? From Pavel.
And the answer is yes. Montura t-shirt up next. And it is, there's the signature. So this one's been signed.
It's the Dawnwall t-shirt.
Yes, matching the one you're wearing. So Montura t-shirt.
It's got actually 2 signs.
Ah, but this is that on the print?
Yeah,
that's a real one. Okay.
So
that goes to question number 1.
How much does screaming help you with climbing? From Hana.
Right, next prize is this. Black Diamond Boulder Gym chalk bag. As you can see, already signed. It goes to question 15.
How do you plan to celebrate Christmas? From Adéla.
Adéla, the chalk bag is heading your way. Another chalk bag. We've got 3, by the way, blue, yellow and green. So next up is this chalk bag, and it will go to question number 12.
What was the worst injury you had, and how did you manage to get through that? From Tomás.
Tomás, thank you for the question. You are the new owner of this lovely Black Diamond chalk bag. Next chalk bag, the blue one, goes to question, is that a 4? That's a 4, right? Thank you. Goes to question
Don't you have a
4.
problem to trust the person who belays you?
Good question. Who is that by? Rafal.
From Rafal.
Cool. Rafal, there you go. It's coming your way. Third and final chalk bag.
Have you ever thought of quitting
Hold on.
climbing?
I haven't read. You read it before me. Okay. Number 11. All right.
From
Haven't even read it myself. From who, sorry?
Vincent.
Vincent. Thanks for the question, Vincent. Best boulders climbing card game. I think this looks great.
We can try to find myself.
And who else is in there? Who have we got? That's a Shima, right? Oh, yeah. Just show them to this camera. Maybe you're not in there. Just put it out there.
Like Chris.
Closer, closer.
Can you go even closer to the camera? Have you found
I'm
you?
not. Ah.
Oh,
here we
you
go.
are there. I was going to say,
I'm fierce animal.
Doing your best squirrel impression. And we'll sign your card, hey? Is that the best option? Maybe your card and the box.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get Adam to sign the card of him and the box, and that will go to question number 22.
So, question number 22. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Okay.
From Alex.
Thanks for the question, Alex. You're getting 2 signatures. Next up, second to last prize, is the Black Diamond backpack. 20 litres, I think, is it? About 20 litres. Yeah. There you go. Back and front, already signed. I'll just give you that for 1 second, and that will go to question number 9.
What do you think about free soloing? From Leo.
Good question, Leo. You are the proud owner of that Black Diamond bag. And finally, the grand prize, the Adam Ondra book. Just tell us a little bit about this book before we hand out the big prize.
So it includes a couple of thoughts or short articles, but most importantly, photos from 2 photographers, really talented photographers that I had the honor to work with for the last 2 years, Bernardo Jimenez and Lukáš Bíba, and it includes the best pieces that we've made.
Perfect. I had a look through it earlier. It's absolutely stunning, and it will be sent to whoever asked question number 7.
7. What is your favorite type of route? I like that question.
That was a good question.
From Nico.
Length, height, and style.
Congrats.
Perfect. Congratulations. Adam, thank you very much for your time. That's Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes of non-stop questions. So thank you for some excellent answers. The squirrel, the clear highlight for me.
I'm glad for that.
When will we next see you in action? In competitions outside? What are the plans? Meiringen. Okay.
Early April.
I know.
Like the IFSC comp.
It'll come around quickly, I'm sure. Just hope it doesn't snow this year. Thank you very much for watching at home. Thank you for your questions. Excellent selection. Congratulations to the winners. And hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. Thank you for watching.